Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Full Court Press. I am your host, Drew Duncan. Do not forget that Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all at Drew Duncan83. Additionally, you can find me on YouTube. Simply look for Drew Duncan. The Full Court Press is on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and YouTube as well. And don't forget, we are wherever you listen to podcasts. Simply tell your device to play the Full Court Press by Drew Duncan. Folks, I am super thrilled for our next guest, who is on to talk about the Joker movie and the psychology behind the Joker. He is a distinguished professor at Henderson State University of Psychology. He is the author of such books as Batman in Psychology and The Joker Psychology, Even Clowns and the Women Who Love Them. His name is Professor Travis Langley, and he's right here on the Full Court Press. Travis, I want to tell you it is a huge treat to have you on the program today. Professor Langley, it is no secret that The Killing Joke is possibly the most popular of graphic novels featuring the Joker, and it raises a very real question. Is a criminal born or is a criminal made? From a psychologist's standpoint, is the answer a conundrum or is it black and white?
If you're just going with a criminal, it's not black and white. There's so much evidence of a mix of both. There are certain aspects of inborn temperament that can raise the likelihood. People who have brain functioning that makes them more fearless. That could make them more heroic, but it's also seen to correlate with a whole lot of criminal behavior. One of the issues with the Killing Joke, if we want to be more specific, though, is a psychopath born or made? That's one of the arguments people make when they go, oh, the Joker's not a psychopath, he's a sociopath. They're referring to The Killing Joke, which presents this backstory of the Joker as this failure of a comedian who has one bad day that turns him into the Joker. Now, in real life, we do not see mass serial spree murderers who it's just one bad day that turns them into that. Something else was already in there in those people to take them in that direction. Now, we only see that limited example with that backstory. There could be all kinds of other things that aren't known, but the argument that the Joker himself is making is that anybody could become a Joker or Batman, go to an extreme if they have just one bad day, and Batman is disagreeing with them. Commissioner Gordon disagrees with them. In fact, they're determined to prove him wrong within that story.
One of the amazing aspects of all this to me is the fact that there are still people out there who believe that comic books may influence violence. Obviously, we just had yesterday a letter that was written where people are concerned about the growing aspect of maybe we are idolizing criminals such as the Joker, and also in real life by doing movies about them, giving them interviews, an audience, and putting them on a pedestal. Have we come to a point, Professor Langley, where we are in a dangerous place in society by maybe idolizing these people through movies and comic books, though they are fictional characters?
This is not a new issue, though. We can just look at the history of comic books alone, and people have discussed the entire time. Early on, it was like, are they writing kids' minds? Are they useful? After World War II, when there was an increase in juvenile delinquency over in England, they developed attachment theory, looking at how the breakdown of family dynamics during World War II were what led to that increase in juvenile delinquency. Over in America, people preferred to blame comic books, and there were comic book burnings in the late 40s and the early 50s. There have always been different scapegoats, rock and roll, rap music, video games. But looking at the idolizing of these characters, you look at the Penny Dreadful novels of the 1900s. There have always been people telling stories about real individuals, fictional individuals, some of them criminal, some of them fantastic, and it's been a concern for a long time. And idolizing the criminals is not a good thing. Looking up to Pretty Boy Floyd, thinking it'd be great to be a gangster like him. But then interest in that wanes as the gangsters of the 1920s and 30s were getting killed off. In terms of being able to show that one specific type of medium has been able to influence that kind of behavior, very difficult to study. We have so many other factors. One of the most interesting ones that you're actually able to show a clear correlation, just correlation, is the relationship between violent video game sales and violent crime. It's a negative correlation. Look this up. You can find several studies. When violent video game sales are up, violent crime is down. When violent crime is up, violent video game sales are down. Doesn't prove the violent video games are reducing the crime, but it certainly flies in the face of the idea that they're causing it.
It's interesting to think about that, because when you mention that, one of the things I begin to think about is maybe people are finding a release through video games or music, and instead of actually going out and doing something that's wrong, they listen to it or they pretend to do it through a video game, and they go, I've kind of had that release for the day. Maybe the equivalent of a guy who comes home from a long day of work and decides to have a beer and relax. Is that kind of what we're maybe discussing here?
That's the old Freudian idea of a catharsis, this expenditure of the energy. Some who don't want to take that view might simply say, well, it gives them something else to do. You can't be shooting up a mall if you're busy running Mario around a track or shooting zombies.
We're talking to the distinguished professor of psychology, Travis Langley. He is the author of the book, The Joker Psychology, Evil Clowns and the Women Who Love Them. As I made mention of earlier, there is no doubt that there is a serious hype train around Joaquin Phoenix playing the Joker. Obviously, even though people did everything except for maybe bang on his door personally and go, hey, man, will you please play the Joker? They begged him for this role. Is there still some pressure, though, do you think, there from the Heath Ledger version of the Joker that we saw? Or does he seem to be handling this very well to you when you're anticipating a phenomenal performance?
Oh, yes, it will weigh on anybody's mind. Ledger's performance was so powerful and relatively recent in the picture of things. We've now got our third live-action movie Joker, fourth if we count the character on the TV show of Gotham, in not much more than a decade. So they've been coming faster. And yes, Ledger's performance and his tragic death, of course that weighs in people's minds.
One of the things that I really think about with the Joker and what makes him so polarizing and popular is that for some reason, when you talk to people, at least this has been my experience, they feel that they know the Joker in the same way that maybe somebody reads a book by an author and goes, this person, I know them. It's like they're inside my head. But there's also other facets, the colors that, the makeup is and all those kinds of things. In your estimation, what is the bottom line to what makes Joker such a great screen villain?
Oh, that's not a short answer, but honestly, that he's the sheer force of chaos. He is the ultimate challenge for Batman. As you notice, we're not seeing the Joker in a Superman movie. We see him in Batman movies because for story purposes, they go together.
Is there a time, though, because I've read before that Batman actually himself has a need for violence, and that to the Joker, Batman himself could be seen as a joke, and the criminal system is a bit of a joke, and he feels like he's doing the right thing by exposing that.
Yeah, the Joker feels like he's at least having his fun. Exposing things, because for him, he sees everybody else as hypocrite for having any hope. He sees the world as a cruel, bleak joke, and he doesn't understand why everybody else does not see it that way. Batman is also exposing weaknesses in the system. A vigilante reflects the failure of the system to work. That's the only time a character like that makes any kind of sense.
If I may hear an excerpt from your book, page 13. In the old days, court jesters were held in high esteem. Even the kings envied their freedom to do whatever came into their heads, which is essentially what the Joker is doing. Remember, Heath Ledger's version said, I just do things. Is that part of what makes him so great, is you never really know what the next move is going to be, and it always seems like there's a surprise element with the Joker?
Yeah, in fact, that line you just said was a quote that the Joker said to Batman in a story in the 70s. It's that you don't know what's going to happen. That genuinely raises the stake. You watch so many stories and you do know what's going to happen. fact that we don't know for sure what this Joker will do. Maybe he's going to give you $100. Maybe he's going to kill you. You know he's more likely to kill you, but you don't know.
Talking to Travis Langley right here on the Full Court Press. He is the author of the book Psychology or Joker Psychology, Evil Clowns and the Women Who Love Them. Travis, this is the part of the program where I give my guests an opportunity to say whatever it is that's on their mind. There is no right or wrong answer here. The floor is 100% yours.
Find the books at Barnes & Noble or Amazon, but remember this lesson. Do not be an evil clown.
I try not to, even though I get scared of some of the women that fall in love with me. Professor Langley, it was a real, it was a real treat to have you on the show today.
All right, I enjoyed this.
All right, everybody. He is Professor Travis Langley. I am simply Drew Duncan, host of the Full Court Press. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all at Drew Duncan 83. And as always, don't you dare touch that dial.